Welcome to Islam Under Scrutiny, a series of short interviews with Dr. Daniel Shayesteh.
My name is Bob Johnston. Thanks for joining us. Our topic today is Islamists are truly ruthless and cruel. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning to you, Bob. Wonderful to be with you again.
Thanks. In recent times, there's been some alarming events that have been reported by international media outlets, and you'd no doubt be aware of a lot of them. A young Christian woman in Pakistan recently was shot dead publicly by her employer because she refused his advances and his demand that she convert to Islam so he could marry her. Then in Nice, I think last year, in France, a Muslim extremist ran into a church shouting Allahu Akbar as he killed 3 people at worship, even attempting to behead one of the women. In Indonesia, late last year, there were 4 Christians who were killed, 1 beheaded, in a brutal attack by Islamists on a Christian church in a remote community. Daniel, why does this cruelty feature so commonly among Islamists?
Bob, more than 60% of the Quran is about discrimination, extremism, violence, and terrorism. Almost 100% of the last 10 years of Muhammad's life is about invading non-Muslims and killing them viciously because they didn't join him. So it's all coming from the Quran and Muhammad's life. The Quran is asking Muslim in chapter 9, verse 123, it says, go and fight and kill those who are near to you and let them find harshness in you, it says. Quran, for example, chapter 48, verse 29 says, Muhammad is the prophet of Allah, and anybody is with Muhammad must be harsh toward others. So you see that that spirit is coming from the Quran, and Quran says actually in chapter 4 verse 80 that anybody follows Muhammad indeed follows Allah. You see how important for them to follow the footstep of Muhammad. It's amazing, Bob, that the gospel asks us to wish and to desire life, comfort and peace for ourselves and for all others. But the Quran asks in chapter 2, verse 94, to wish death. It's amazing. You see the difference? And that's why they are so zealous to be in the service of death and, wish death for all those who do not follow them.
Daniel, I don't really get it. How does this work when so many Muslims today would call Islam the religion of peace?
The phrase Islam is the religion of peace was invented by Islamists actually in the Western countries.
Right.
Islamists do not teach that Islam is the religion of peace in Islamic countries, and especially in the Middle East, because many Muslims know that, and they know that by experience, and also many of them have heard from Islamists that Islam cannot establish itself with tolerance. And so that phrase, Islam is the religion of peace, I think is a cheerleading propaganda for Muslim, but at the same time is pain, death, and torture for those people who do not follow their way or think the way they think.
Justice under Sharia law, things like public floggings and humiliations, stonings, and even executions are so extreme and terrifying. What is achieved by such gruesome judgments by these courts?
No achievement really can be expected when the waves of extremism, violence, and terrorism, reach their height at worst. And look at Iran, look at Afghanistan. The achievement is death, destruction, poverty, wandering, and destruction in every level of life. I mean, Iran, the country I have come from, was the most developed Islamic country among all other Islamic countries. But look at Iran now. It's behind almost all Islamic countries. So Islamists really are the enemies of achievement and improvement. And they do not allow you even to touch their feeling, even in a friendly way. They do not think about improvement. They just want to establish Islam. And it happened with Muhammad in his own time, that some Medinan complained and said, look at this guy, Muhammad. We gave him shelter. He is a refugee in our country, in our city. Medina was a very successful city in the time. Muhammad had no choice to escape from Mecca and become a refugee there. And after several years, he was forcing with his army everyone there to follow him. So they complained, some of them, they were the renowned people, very famous people among Medinan people. And Muhammad didn't like their criticism, as he sent his men at night and beheaded them, brought their head to him. One of them actually was a young single mom with few children. And so this is the spirit of Islam. They don't like achievement. And it's just amazing. Compare them with their cousin Israel. This is the little country. Israel is a giant developed country in the world. Why? It's because of the ideological values. These people believe in life and in achievement, in creativity, but Islamists believe in destruction, and that's why they are increasingly becoming, giant in backwardness and brutality.
Yeah, Daniel, does this horror, I suppose, of the Islamist violence deeply disturb you and bring you to tears for those who suffer under such terror? And what can be done to rescue these precious souls who are suffering so terribly under Islamist oppression?
They do disturb me deeply, Bob. It is because I picture my own children and grandchildren in the hands of Islamists. And that's the time it helps me to understand the pain of those victims, and encourages me not to, keep silent. When it comes to solution, I think the short-term solution for us is to talk to our politicians and our leaders, to put pressure on them, to put pressure on Islamic countries, and ask them really to put an end to these brutalities in these countries. And I really liked Macron's, latest criticism. He blamed Islam and Islamists, for brutality and harshness. So this is the short-term solution, but the long-term solution, the strategical solution, is an ideological solution, because we are face to face with an ideological terrorism, and therefore it necessitates really education and awakening, especially among Muslims. We really need to reveal Islam to Muslims in the world, and even other people in the world, to understand that the leadership in Islam is one of the worst. It's really worst in every aspect of life. It's destructive for every aspect of life, especially in the area of our economy. We also need to encourage Muslims to read the gospel of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ hates brutality. According to the teaching of Jesus, harsh people, brutal people cannot walk in the path of God. Muslims are calling Islam is the path of God. According to Jesus, Islam and Muhammad are nothing to do with the path of God. So they need to, understand the teaching of Jesus, and to discover that the solution for that harshness, for that, destructive spirit in their country is Jesus Christ. That's why Jesus Christ is the way to kindness, is the way to tolerance, is the way to reconciliation among nations and between nations and God. And so this is the really significant way to fight with that brutality and cruelties of Islamists in Islamic countries.
Thanks, Daniel. They're important and helpful insights for us to be confronted with, even though sadly it's at times uncomfortable to talk about. Daniel was at one time himself a convinced radical Muslim, but circumstances changed, as did his thinking, and he began asking hard questions. Eventually, he became a committed Christian. If you want to ask questions about Dr. Daniel's responses today, please place them in the comments section below the video on the YouTube channel. If you found this interview helpful, please take the time to press the like button below and subscribe to this channel. Please tune in for future interviews. Thanks for joining us.
If you would like to consider more from Dr. Daniel's insights, please visit the playlist page of Daniel Shayesteh YouTube channel and visit the Exodus from Darkness website at exodusfromdarkness.org.